I feel like there was kind of an improper usage here. And so that's the reason why I'm recommending a violation. I didn't feel like it was that major of an issue though, so that's why I'm recommending good cause. I'll be glad to answer any further questions you.
So what is the violation?
For turning those campaign materials and using them for personal use under 35-17-13-0.
I mean, I guess, and I will take Mr. Nickel at his word. My challenge is with the language, come see me for your home needs. Right? That is a clear call to, an advertisement to benefit yourself and it's not, oh, I'm a realtor now, or I'm a plumber, or I'm a lawyer. It's come see me if you have a need. I have challenged that language. We, we give fines based on time elapsed for, late filings and disclaimers that are also honest mistakes from time to time, and we still do good cause violations. I mean, to me, this requires a fine. That's just my view of it.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other questions or deliberation, or is that a motion?
Madam Chair, I would just like to reiterate what Commissioner Knight said. I think that language is very explicit and directly states that it's a solicitation for something additional. That it's outside of the scope of the candidacy or the elected office.
Very good. Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other points of information, or is there a motion?
I'll move to find a violation and have a fine of $50.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, very good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes 6-0. 7-0. Sorry, apologize. All right, very good. Thank you for your time, Mr. Nickel. Have a wonderful day. Okay,
So,
moving on to.
Can you tell me so what transpired, a $50 fine?
Correct.
And what's the violation?
Violation of good cause.
A violation of revised code 35-17-13-0 and the imposition of a $50 fine for that violation.
But I understand, and then you already ruled, but in your advisory 2021 ELCO2, as long as it was less than 3 sentences, you said it was not a violation on that case. And all I said was, if you have questions, call me.
Very good, Mr. Nickel. If you have additional questions, feel free to follow up directly with the commission with Mr. Richter. But we have ruled on the case, so that is the decision. But thank you so very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having remote abilities.
Absolutely.
Do you
Thank
need me?
for-
Do you need me anymore?
You are good to go, sir. Thank you kindly.
All right, thank you, folks.
All right, have a great day. Okay, all right, very good. Moving on to item number 4, case number 2025G-006, Fullerton versus Paroli. I believe Paroli is online. Is that correct?
Paroli is online. Fullerton is present here. Chair, this is a complaint. The complaint asserts that the respondent failed to file a complete and accurate finance report. Respondent explains that receipts were included and that the committee had no activity in 2024. So they overlooked the need to file the annual report initially. It was eventually filed. My recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $50. Certainly Ms. Fullerton could, if she were physically present, she could be given an opportunity to further address the commission. And Mr. Paroli is online. He could do so as well.
Okay, very good. If it's the will of the commission, we'll go ahead and allow for Ms. Fullerton if she'd like to come and testify to be sworn in. Okay, she's good to go. We love it. All right, moving on to Paroli. If you would like the opportunity to share, you're welcome to do so. We just need you to be sworn. And we need to see you. Raise that hand. maybe some technical difficulties. Are you able to contact him via the chat at all? Thank you, Chris.
Anybody can change my mind.
You know what? It is a free country. Are the commissioners directly opposed to her offering?
2 sentences.
You're fine. Come on up. You just have to be sworn.
Very short, I promise.
Oh, you're good. Good.
Welcome to the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the only thing I would like to say is that some people believe in processes and following rules, and there are people in this world that think that they're above the process and that the rules do not apply to them. And I would like you to take that under consideration when you look at what I sent in. I'm no expert by any means that I am not an expert, but I did the best I could. But I found a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of total in-kind contributions to in-kind contributions with no receipts. And I don't even know, I couldn't even tell if there was actually a bank account opened or, so anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, or Mrs. Fullerton, do you mind to stay for just a moment? Do any of the commission members have any questions? Are you okay? No questions. Okay, you're good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, did we have any success online?
Wrote in the chat, I have not gotten a response back. He raised his hand, but is not. It says, my camera seems to be not working. My apologies.
Okay.
Can you ask him to log on his cell phone or? On his cell phone?
We try to go out and come back in.
We've got to see him.
He said, I can attempt 1 minute, please.
Okay, very good. We'll give it a couple of minutes here. Unfortunately, in his case, due to precedent, we have made a decision recently that we would not move forward without being able to see him. So we want to keep that consistent. Quick show of hands. Who loves to hear the Teams ping and who dreads it? Anybody? No? All right.
Blood pressure goes through the roof.
Night tremors, anyone? All right, got it. I mean, in this moment, it's a great thing, so we're glad to.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, do we see a face?
Yep.
Looks like
Well,
a,
at least I've
looks like
got
a
it
set of
here.
initials and
Right.
Top spotlight and try to do. So I can see.
do you see him on the?
There he is.
Okay, all right, welcome. I assume after all that effort, you would love to be heard, so why not be sworn?
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, very good, go ahead.
I do believe the commission has received my response to the allegations. To the comment about the late filing, that is absolutely 100% correct. There was no activity for the year, the reporting year. I inadvertently, missed the deadline, did not realize that there was a requirement to file. As to the allegations about the receipts, again, that was addressed in the response. One thing that I would like to state is that the complainant is the wife of one of my fellow trustees. There is some animosity in the work environment. We definitely have a difference of opinions. To her claims about the receipts, it's rather genuine and rich that is the complaint that's being made, given that she was the campaign treasurer for her husband's campaign. Their initial filing does not include any receipts for any expenditures. So again, I forego any complaint filing, but again, this is completely politically motivated. The late filing is definitely, again, just a inadvertent failure on my part to file a report when there was no activity. incorrectly believed that it wasn't necessary. I do believe actually the report wasn't necessary. I could have filed a affidavit or a statement saying that there was no activity, but again, I also failed to do that. So again, what the committee decided on that, I understand, but as far as any inaccuracies or incomplete disclosures, those are baseless allegations.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions? Mr. Crowley?
No.
Yes, you all are good too. All right, sorry, good deal. Okay, very good. We appreciate your testimony, your time. Thank you very much. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'll move the executive director's recommendation of a $50 fine for late filing.
Second.
Okay, very good. We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes 7-0. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming to testify. Okay, very good. We are going to go out of order here a little bit to allow the Secretary of State's office, Brian Katz and team to hear cases 2024S-043 and 2021S-039. We're reconsidering these cases 2021S-039, vacate the finding, consolidate all outstanding matters, and finding a violation, imposing a fine of $250 in this scenario for these cases together. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I think the reports were very late filed. A brief response was submitted, and so you see my recommendation. So the fine a violation imposes a $250 fine.
Okay, very good. Mr. Katz, is there anything you care to share?
Good morning. First, I apologize for needing to use my phone. We have already referred this gentleman again for another violation, and so I printed off the wrong one, so I'll need to refer to, I had to contact the office staff, which this 2024 complaint was about. This gentleman ran for office on 2 different occasions, 2018 and again in 2022, has been referred in 2019, 2021, 2024, and again in 2025 that I think we'll deal with next month. For a just blatant failure to file, as well as failure to respond to our office seeking just basic information on addresses for contributions, expenditures, and expenditure verification. And so just ensuring that the request is that a fine be levied that's appropriate to someone who is just failing to file campaign finance reports repeatedly. And so I think I heard that that's what's being recommended by the executive director. And so we would ask that you follow that recommendation to ensure that people know that you have to file campaign finance reports and do at least basic reporting requirements. To answer any questions.
Very good. We appreciate that. And members, I apologize. I hopped around a little bit here for you. It's page 4, items 5 and 66, 3/4 of the way down the page, if that's helpful, if you were having any difficulty. Are there any questions for Mr. Katz?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Sorry, one moment.
Just one question. Do you have any critique or alternative suggestion relating to the $250 fine?
No, traditionally, we don't try to get into the amounts of the fines. We just suggest that it's up to the commission to make the determination on what an appropriate fine is. Just being against the idea that someone for good cause not receiving a fine. That was his case on the 2019 case when he first was referred and found in violation. And so now I think we're reconsidering a 2021 as well as potentially a 2024 violation. And so just ensuring that the fines are what the commission feels appropriate.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, and then there were 2 questions here. Vice Chair, go first.
Madam Chair, to Executive Director and to Attorney Katz, has anyone had any communication with Mr. Peoples? Has he ever reached out to the office for these 4 filings? Mr. Richter, I'm just curious because this is a lot.
Well, he submitted a response to us, led to the matter going forward and presumably getting resolved. But other than that, to my knowledge, he hasn't reached out to us.
I actually have spoken. I apologize to interrupt. I just wanted to get it on the record. I did speak to him on the phone, which prompted, he asked what steps to take, and I submit a response to our office. And so that was prior to him submitting that, but I did speak to him on the phone, so I just wanted that on.
For the most recent case? Is
Yes.
that what you're saying? Okay, and Mr. Katz, has he reached out and over all these different cases?
Yes, so in regards to our 2024 complaint, when we call and email via all contact methods, he responded via email asking for more time to submit his response, to submit the reports and the missing information, saying that he needed to work with the bank to recreate those records. That was April 21st, 2023, and then we referred him later after he failed to do any of that at that point in time.
Just one last question. I'm sorry. What county is he out of?
I want to think it's Cuyahoga, but I could be wrong.
It's Columbus.
Is it Columbus?
It's Franklin.
His address is Columbus, Ohio.
I'm just curious as to what the Board of Election does for training, because it seems interesting. He continues to run and never files.
Very good. All right, Commissioner, did you also have a question, Fairway? I apologize.
Madam Chair, the only comment that I was going to make is seemingly this is violation after violation. I would be in favor for referring it over for prosecution.
All right, very good. Are there any other questions, points of deliberation, or is that a motion? You're in favor of it.
I am.
How favorable are you toward
Madam
that
Chair.
idea you're
Chair, thank
pontificating?
you for that, but I would not make a motion
Oh,
about
all
consequence
right.
without hearing from some colleagues first.
Madam Chair, to the Commissioner, and what would be your reason for referring for prosecution for multiple attempts at not finding?
Yeah, just violation after violation, and clearly it doesn't appear that any of the fines have never been paid. So anyway, and as Mr. Richter and some of my colleagues have heard time after time, I just get really tired of folks not acknowledging the commission, although I do believe that, you did speak with him, but that's not good enough. These reports are not that difficult to file if you try. So, thank you.
Very good. It's fired up. Is anybody with him? I love to see the passion in the commission. This kind of stuff we need to talk about more. All right, very good. All right, if there is not a motion, so we appreciate the sentiment and maybe the forward motion will to move in that direction. Is there a differing motion?
Madam Chair, I would move the recommendation of the executive director to reconsider case number 2021S-039, vacate the finding, consolidate all outstanding matters, find a violation, and impose a fine of $250.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seeing a motion in a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Nay.
Okay, that motion passes 5-2.
Madam Chairman, just to clarify, you are only referencing 2021 and 2024 cases,
Yeah,
not the outstanding
Correct.
2025 matter as well. Thank you.
correct. Okay, very good. And we do have one more case for you. So we'll go ahead and skip to page 5 for everybody who's following along on the agenda. We're moving to case number 2024R-452. It's item number 67 for reconsideration.
No, 4S,
Oh, I-
39,
Oh.
the Secretary of State case, R4.
I apologize. It was almost a fire alarm. Okay, we're gonna back it up. I apologize, everyone. So, item number 68, reconsider the matter, vacate the previous finding, consolidate with case number 2025S-024, find a violation, impose a fine of 200. It's the very last item on page 5, friends. Case number 2024S-039. Bill, do you care to speak into it anymore?
No, the commission found a violation, imposed a per diem fine on the prior matter. And so they filed their reports, they submitted a response, I've synopsized it for you. And so I'm bringing the matter back, reconsidering it, and recommending, after we find a violation, recommending the imposition of a $200 fine.
Okay, very good. Mr. Katz, you care to speak to this case?
So again, I apologize. I brought a 2025 referral for this individual or this committee again. And so I don't have additional facts except to say that I would not object to the executive director's recommendation for the 2024 case. And then we'll be prepared for the 2025 case next month.
All right, very good. Thanks for warming us up. All right, do you guys have anything to deliberate or any questions? Okay, very good. Is there a motion?
So moved. No,
Hold
so-
on, I'm gonna ask everybody to hold on a second.
Brace yourselves. All right.
No.
Only because he's referring to the fact that I am including the 25 case in this. Only because their response in looking online, it certainly appeared that, all reports have been filed since the referral was made on the 25 case in March. The reports were filed on April 1, and I was including that in this recommendation.
So
Oh, there it is.
yeah, it
I bet.
is.
There it
To
is. Yeah.
consolidate with case, it's in the header above the item. So
Oh.
I guess the question is, Mr. Katz, are you okay with us hearing them both at once and closing it out? Or do you want to come back again? And do we want to make a motion as such?
So I will take the executive director's word if he's checked in, this gentleman has filed his reports.
As of April 1, and the referral was made to us, or the second referral we're talking about was made, it's covered by a thing, but sometime in March of this year.
Just the bits in 2024 semi-annual has been filed.
Just imagine how much fun this could be in 88 counties. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't want to include it, that's fine, but that's why I was including it, because the impression I got from the website was that all the reports have been filed. And rather than go through this all over again, I would just do it at one time.
No objection from the Secretary of State's office. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Looks like we are moving towards a consolidated case as recommended. Are there any additional questions or considerations of the commission members?
Madam Chair, I just have one question to Mr. Richter. I'm just looking at the ICW. It says that reports were not filed. You have.
Oh, you can see above that though, it says the report was filed. Before one. I forgot to switch the X's.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to double check. Okay.
Always on top of the details. All right, very good. Okay, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Thank you, Commissioner Tavares. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Caraway. All right, very good. Seeing a motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, that motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all.
Okay, we are going to go back to the normal order of things. Thanks for bearing with us. So we are going to be on page 2. Item number 1, Great House et al. versus Warren Deserves Better et al. 2023 G-009. And I believe Great House is online, and we have Quinn here in representation of Warren Deserves Better.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, this matter was originally reviewed a while ago, let's put it that way. And we continued the preliminary review to, at that point, allow the respondent an opportunity to file reports to the commission. At the prior review of this matter, certainly believed that every indication was that the group, regardless of their efforts, was a PAC and should have filed campaign finance reports as a PAC. I don't know that anything's been done in the interim. Kind of got lost in the shuffle. I apologize for the delay, but we're back now. Mr. Greathouse is online. He could further address the complaint. And as you indicated, Patrick Quinn is here on behalf of the respondents. At this point, my recommendation is to set the matter for hearing, only based on, I think that was my original recommendation, the comments of the commission that gave their impression of the status of the case, I guess you'd say, the status of the filings. But that could certainly change based on the nature of what is presented to us by Mr. Quinn. So Mr. Greathouse can be sworn. We can proceed.
Very good. Mr. Greathouse, would you mind being sworn?
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Go ahead.
I brought this matter and it's a simple enough request. I just felt like, and I believe the commission somewhat agreed to me in our last meeting, that we just want to know the amount of funds that were raised, who contributed to the effort, and what money was spent. It's the rules that every other elected official or effort are governed by, and we're just asking that the commission hold Warren Deserves Better to that same standard of reporting. It's not arduous, but for some reason they have chosen to resist those efforts. I don't know what they're concerned about revealing, but we're just simply asking for that same standard of behavior. Thank you.
Again, we appreciate that. Are there any questions at this time? I apologize, we should laugh.
Yeah. Well, we could have questions. If the commission has questions for Mr. Greathouse, they can ask them and then we can hear from Mr. Flynn.
Are there any questions for the commission members? You're okay. Okay, all right, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and allow Mr. Quinn to speak. So thank you.
Morning, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission, Patrick Quinn on behalf of the respondents. I think the procedural history on this one is a little strange. When the commission first heard this matter at a preliminary review, I believe please don't quote me on this, but I believe Mr. Richter's recommendation at that stage was to set the matter for a full hearing. And that motion and a motion was made and that motion failed. And then there was some discussion, and I was, I'm a latecomer to this 2023 case. So I'm going off what I could observe in the video. But following the vote no, or the failure of the vote to set this for a further hearing, there's some discussion. And what I found was not, there were a number of different opinions and I don't think it was particularly clear, at least to me watching it after the fact. I don't think it was particularly clear what the outcome or the decision or the belief was of the commission collectively, other than it was ultimately a 7-0 vote to continue the matter for a further preliminary review hearing. And that's what brings us here today. There was some discussion of perhaps Mr. Richter and the respondents having a conversation. There was some discussion about, perhaps this really is a PAC. But I guess the point is, I don't know that there's any from that prior hearing, listening to it and looking at it years later. I don't know that there's a formal or a firm determination that the commission made as to the nature of this organization. And so having said that, I think it bears some consideration of, going back to first principles, and is this a PAC or not to begin with? Or is there a reason to think that possibly it is? And I would submit to you, the answer is no. And the reason is by statute, the definition of a PAC, it has to be something, it has to be an organization or a group of individuals that have a primary or a major purpose of promoting or supporting a candidate or an issue or influencing an election via express advocacy. This group wasn't that. The group existed to place a charter, an initiative petition or initiative issue on a ballot. And as we kind of know from the experience, you think of all the steps that are involved in that, from drafting a petition, coming up with the idea, drafting a petition, following the rules, going out and gathering signatures and all those kind of things. All those things by definition can't be in favor or opposition to an issue because there is no issue yet. It can't be in favor or opposition to an election because there is no election yet until you have something certified to the ballot. So then you have all this work and all this effort to get something on the ballot. And then you have the post kind of certification stuff and I think you saw the materials attached to the complaint. There's some public statements, advertising, call it what you will, some kind of written materials, which I think are largely informative, but certainly there is some express advocacy contained within those. Vote yes on the petition or vote yes on the charter issue. what I would urge you to find, and I think is correct under the law, is that that sort of incidental express attempt to influence the outcome of an election is not sufficient to transform an organization or to render an organization a political action committee, because it's not you can't evaluate in isolation. If you're going to decide whether something is a primary or major purpose, you have to look at the totality of what's done and then figure out how much of that totality includes influencing an election, promoting a candidate or an issue. And I think when you do that here, I think you wind up with the conclusion, or I would urge you to find, you wind up with the conclusion of this is not a primary or major purpose of Warren Deserves Better. Having said all that, if the commission were to disagree with everything I've just said, then I would think the appropriate recommendation or the appropriate procedure, given the age of this case, we've got I think it's coming up on its two-year anniversary from the filing of the complaint. I would suggest that rather than set the thing for a full hearing, continue it out. Say if the commission gives a firm direction of the belief that this is in fact a PAC, and perhaps that's what it intended to do last time, although I'm not sure it was that clear. But if there were some firm conclusion of that effect, then continue it out 30 days. The reports will be filed, and that will be, and we can come back and everything will be, in accordance with what's required. But first, as a first principle, I think the decision of the commission should be to find that it's not a PAC and only go to that kind of follow-up step if the commission were to conclude otherwise. And I welcome any questions.
Very good. We appreciate
Thank
that.
you, ladies and gentlemen.
Are there any questions of the commission members?
Madam Chair, I have one for Mr. Quinn.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Quinn.
Good morning.
So if it's not a PAC, what kind of organization is it? Are you saying it's a 501c3 or 501c4? I don't understand.
It certainly would not be it would not be either of those, because either of those require a formal, it wouldn't be a C3 no matter what. A C4 requires a formal,
Registration.
a formal registry, typically a corporation, right? And this wasn't incorporated. So it is essentially, it is a group of, I think it's essentially an association. It would be kind of akin to, if these folks had gone into a profit-making business together, they would be a partnership, right? That would be kind of the rough analogy. But obviously there's not a profit motive here. So it's not a partnership, but it's sort of it's just essentially an association or an unincorporated association, a group of individuals who, collectively got together and, as I said, concluded that a particular ballot issue was deserving of consideration.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
but it doesn't have that kind of formal corporation, LLC, things, LLP, things of that nature. It's not any of those.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions? I see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We've got a whole-
Just, not for Mr. Rector.
Okay, very good.
I presume nothing here changes your recommendation for a hearing.
Based on those statements, no.
If there's anything else, I'm prepared to vote.
I have a few questions for the executive director.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Knight.
So, I think most of us were here for that hearing. I believe I remember it quite well and I have a much different recollection than you, Mr. Quinn, with all due respect. As I recall that preliminary review, it was a pretty clear view of the commission that this was a PAC and the fine people who were here didn't understand that. And we clearly expressed that they were to go. We felt empathy that they clearly understand. And rather than have a fine or a violation, we implored them to go and do the appropriate filings. So my question, Mr. Richter, is, and shame on the commission for having this linger for nearly 2 years. In that time elapsed, which has been quite significant, have they called you? Have they done any action to try to remedy the situation since then?
Ms. Milner did call a couple times. Honestly, I didn't talk with her. I didn't get a chance to speak with her.
Okay.
So there were some efforts, yes.
Okay. Yeah, why did you not?
I wish I had a better answer than, I didn't take the opportunity to call her, but that's the best answer I have.
Fair
It
enough.
would be a very good answer, but that's the best answer.
I mean, I guess I don't know. And again, we didn't go into it as deeply here. And maybe others don't remember it as distinctly as I do, but I don't know why we would set the matter for hearing. We pretty much concluded they were a PAC at the time and directed them to establish the required reporting for a PAC. So to set the matter for hearing to determine they're a PAC again, to me, just seems a circular waste of time for all of us. I mean, I don't know what they recommend, given that we were non-responsive to them. If we do a fine or not, I don't know. I mean, it's quite a lot of time has elapsed for nothing to have been done. I just don't see setting the matter for hearing as the appropriate remedy. Perhaps the 30 days, since we were not responsive to get everything done, is maybe an appropriate middle ground, but I certainly don't see setting the matter for hearing as the appropriate next step.
Madam Chairwoman, may I briefly address that?
Please.
Sir, obviously, as I said, I wasn't here, you guys were, and I don't, rely on your collective memory over what I said about what happened. But I do think, the point that you raised is that there was some, having spoken with Ms. Milner, I think I neglected to say, Ms. Milner is here. She's behind the pillar for some of you who may not be able to see. Ms. Milner is a council member elect for the second ward in the city of Warren. And there was some degree of confusion. This is prior to my involvement. And so that's part of the reason that I made that kind of backup suggestion. Obviously, I continue to maintain that this is not a PAC. I understand that at least one, perhaps as many as 7 folks disagree with me on that. I understand and I respect that. But that was sort of the reason for my alternative suggestion, was because this is plainly not, I don't think, certainly from what I understand about Ms. Milner and this effort, this is plainly not an intentional or a willful effort to disregard anything. That's why I was suggesting perhaps a brief period. And in the grand scheme of things, this is not a massive effort. This isn't a 7-figure organization or anything like that. Not even 6, probably not even 5. So that's why I was suggesting a brief period.
That's helpful. And
Yeah.
I just to reiterate my point, if we had thought at the time that whether or not it was a PAC was in question, we would have set the matter for hearing then. We wouldn't have delayed it,
Sure.
right? There would have been no point. We would have set the matter for hearing then, not now.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chairman.
Absolutely. Vice Chair, you look like you have a question.
I'm struggling if I should, but I am.
You don't have to, but you can.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my question is for Mr. Quinn. You said that Mr. Milner is here.
Yes.
Our executive director has stated that she reached out multiple times, yet he did not call her back. And so I guess I'm curious at what she wanted to ask. Do we want to give her the opportunity to ask those questions now? I feel like there's a gap that we're missing, and it would be very unfair for us not to follow up on whatever she inquired about.
And no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
So I just, it's kind of, I wanted to confirm that,
Yeah.
my understanding was correct. And it's, Ms. Milner left the last hearing sort of in the same confusion as kind of I had watching the video after the fact. So I think her reaching out to the commission was, what am I supposed to do? What's the ask, so to speak? What's the order? So that's what she informs me was kind of her purpose in reaching out, and that's what the goal was.
And so is my follow-up to all of that. And so with that, because of that, you're saying that is why you're asking that we allow for a 30-day continuance to file something to then move forward.
I think that would be appropriate. I mean, I am here now. I am hearing, you know, this, as is Ms. Milner for that matter, and I'm hearing what the commission has to say on the issue of whether or not it's PAC. And, you know, if it is, we all know where what the next steps are, file the reports. And what I'm suggesting is essentially what I think the commission tried to do last time. It ought to do now, just, you know, perhaps with the additional clarity of, you know, by and large, the will of the commission is to find that it's PAC, and so it's got to file the reports. And so rather than go through, I mean, because were we to go to some kind of a full hearing, you know, I don't presume to tell you what you would do or should do, but I think that's a reasonable supposition that there would be some kind of directive to that effect anyway.
Thank you.
Love a case for efficiency. All right, very good. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right, very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. Someone may have to help me with the exact appropriate language for it, but I'd like to move that we continue the case for 30 days, at which point we would expect that all appropriate filings for a PAC during the appropriate time periods have been filed.
I'll second that.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes 7-0. So just for clarification, you would have, do you want to reiterate so that they are hearing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of taking the next 30 days to file the appropriate paperwork.
Sure.
You know, between designation treasurer, campaign finance reports, et cetera.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, very good. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your presence online as well. All right. Very good. Okay, we're now moving on to page 3, item number 2, Burns versus Purval, case number 2025G-004. Okay, I believe we have Mr. Hartman and Mr. Feig.
Right, Madam Chair, members of the commission, the complaint asserts that the respondent failed to file complete and accurate campaign finance reports when the 2024 annual report was filed without including certain debts on the report that had been previously included on campaign finance reports. A response and an outline of law were both submitted to the commission. I synopsized those. Mr. Hartman is here on behalf of the complainant. Mr. McTighe is here on behalf of the respondent.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. All right, so Mr. Hartman, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. And I needed to address one preliminary matter with the board in terms of the legality of the composition of the commission. I would refer to section 3517.152E of the Ohio Revised Code, which provides that no member of the Ohio Elections Commission shall serve more than one full term unless the terms served are served non-consecutively. This deals with Ms. Tavares's continued service on the Elections Commission, as she's currently serving a second consecutive term, currently serving a full term. For the record, she was appointed initially to an unexpired term that composed 4.5 years, and thus she was statutorily ineligible for appointment to a consecutive term, for consecutive full term to which she actually was appointed, and thus would be ultimately serving 9.5 years consecutively on this commission. And therefore it violates both the letter and the spirit of that provision of the revised code, and I ask for a recusal.
Mr. Hartman, thank you very much. I believe that we have gone through this previously historically and will likely arrive at the same notion and such. Okay, very good. So we're going to go ahead and carry.
Can we make sure the record
case.
reflects the refusal of Ms. Tavares to step aside? A nod of the head doesn't show up on the record.
Ms. Tavares will refuse to resign. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Or refuse to serve at least in this case. Thank you. And I have to do it every case just to make sure it's on the record because transcript does not carry over from a prior case. You got to review it as each case. In this case, there should be arises with Mr. Purval holding and continuing to hold significant sums of outstanding debt in the magnitude of $58,000 for numerous years, making no payments whatsoever thereon, and during which time the statute of limitations have run. And so therefore, it is no longer a valid or enforceable debt. And we believe that arises and creates an in-kind contribution that should be reported as such. I was kind of thinking a little bit earlier here, go back to this commission's cases with the Freeman, Schmidt, Stewart cases. Can somebody, if you think about, could those candidates have simply reported, hey, I got $2 million of an outstanding debt from a company who did TV ads or mailing ads? And then, okay, I'll just report it as $2 million outstanding debt and never pay it back. Think about that. If that's what we're going to allow, and that's what this case really involves. Can services be provided to a campaign, an invoice issue, and it just sits on it? No interest being paid on that outstanding invoice, which arguably would be a separate in-kind contribution. We just sit there, let statute of limitations run. Ooh. Now, in this case, it's interesting. After we filed this complaint, apparently the campaign started making some payments on the debt. Pay. It was $58,000 actually owed to one company, Perkins Coie Law Firm, from 2018. Paid $2,500 suddenly at the beginning of this month. What if we hadn't filed this complaint? These debts would have sat there forever. But I will tell you this, at $2,500 every 6.5 years, that $58,000 debt to Perkins Coie will be paid off in the year of 2179. If that's how they continue going forward. It's not what the intent of the campaign finance laws is. This was simply, really look at it, services provided, never paid. It's an in-kind contribution once the statute of limitations run. Because think about one final thing I'll just point out. Statute of limitations run, I would argue at that point, there's a 2-year statute of limitations to even bring the complaint here to the commission. So you think about that scenario of a $2 million company provides $2 million worth of services, invoices my campaign for it. I don't pay it. I sit on it. Statute of limitations run, 2 years run. This commission has no jurisdiction over it. It's the statute of limitations. That's what we're dealing with here. So I think the commission should recognize that these were in-kind contributions that should have been reported and accordingly find a violation.
Okay, Mr. Hartman, thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions of the commission members for Mr. Hartman? Okay, seeing none, Mr. McTighe, go ahead and take the stand. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm Don McTighe. On behalf of the respondents and seated at the table with me is my associate, Helen Laurie. Got her name right. Because this is an inside joke about me mispronouncing her last name.
You're gonna want to get it right.
No, I do. I got it right this morning. So I'd like to start with one issue, and that is the which is not in response to Mr. Hartman, but to the executive director's recommendation. He describes the complaint as alleging a violation for filing an incomplete report because the line on the cover page where you report your total outstanding debts was not filled in. And then he's recommending a $50 fine because the report was incomplete. However, that is not actually an allegation in the complaint. It's not one of the claims. It is in there as a statement of facts, but as Mr. Hartman, as you can tell from his presentation, that's not the issue that we're here on today. The issue we're here on today is whether or not the 3 outstanding debts, which by the way, were on the report, they just weren't added up to put on the cover page, whether or not those have whether those constitute in-kind contributions because of the running of statute of limitations. And the theory being that the complaint is saying they are now in-kind contributions and the reports are incomplete, or the report is incomplete because it didn't list the in-kind contributions. So I just wanted to start with that because I know you get an agenda with a recommendation. The issue is not the missing information on the cover page. That is in the statement, again, just in the statement of facts because it's kind of prefatory, but that's not why we're here today. We're here on whether or not debts that haven't been paid and are and where the statute of limitations has run, does that legally constitute an in-kind contribution? So I want to stick to what the facts of this case are and what the law is with regard to that question. There are no facts in dispute here. Okay. In fact, we admitted in the answer all of the factual statements about, what the report said, what the dates were that these debts were incurred, what the amounts were, who they were to, that sort of thing. We denied all the parts of the complaint where basically it said this is a violation of the campaign finance laws by failure to report these as in-kind contributions now that the statute of limitations has run. I do have two exhibits just for the record that I would like to provide here. I'm just going to take it. And you just pass that down to us. Thank you. The first one is just showing that we did amend the cover page. After we received Mr. Harmon's complaint, we realized that we had missed taking the information from the last page, which is where the debts are, and then adding that together and putting it on the cover page. So we did amend the cover page. Again, it's not the issue in this case, but I just wanted the record to be complete. The other document, this was also alluded to by Mr. Harmon. After the complaint was filed, some installment payments have been made. Actually, 2 installment payments have been made to each of the 3 vendors, creditors. The first 3 checks were actually attached to the response. What you're getting today is the canceled checks showing that they've been deposited and funds have been transferred. And then the last page is the additional 3 payments that just went out. So.
Mr. McTighe, was this information also provided to Mr. Hartman?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
called this morning. I
Yeah.
not.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I
Appreciate
gave
that.
it to him this morning.
Good deal.
So, we've also filed a legal memo and hopefully, people had a chance to read it. We're dealing with what the question here is, it's not factual, it's purely a question of law. When a statute of limitations runs, does that turn the debt into an in-kind contribution? Our position is there's absolutely nothing in Ohio law, there is nothing in advisory opinions of this commission that establishes that would be the case. In fact, it is important to understand how statutes of limitations work. There's abundant case law. And by the way, 2 of the 3 creditors here are out of the state of Washington, I believe, okay, I'm sorry. One, Perkins Coie, is out of the state of Washington. The other 2 creditors are out of District of Columbia. Okay, so we have cited case law from both of those jurisdictions that says when the statute of limitations runs, it does not extinguish the debt. The debt still exists. It doesn't become a nullity. It still exists. Statute of limitations becomes a defense. If you were then to get sued by a creditor you could raise in defense a statute of limitations defense. Their case should be dismissed because they missed the statute of limitations. But you could still pay the debt back because it's still on the books, if you will. On the books, it's still a debt. It has not been extinguished. And this is what the committee is doing in this case, is begin to pay those back. And again, there's nothing in Ohio law that says that a creditor owed money by a campaign committee, that under campaign finance law, that's going to get converted to an in-kind. In fact, Ohio law on statute of limitations is exactly the same as the case law is exactly the same as the state of Washington and the District of Columbia. And we've cited the Ohio cases as well. The Ohio courts recognize that the debt is not extinguished. It still exists. Okay. Because the debt still exists, the committee keeps reporting it after, year after year, report after report. So what we're faced with here is a question of whether or not, from a policy standpoint, there should be a change in the law. I'd like to point out that the Ohio Supreme Court, which has jurisdiction on setting campaign finance rules for judicial candidates, actually instituted a rule 2, 3, 4 years ago, where it said that if the debt is still outstanding at the end of what they call the contribution period, which ends 120 days after your last election, that converts to an in-kind. And that's in the rules that judicial candidates must follow. That's a form of legislation coming from the court under its Article 4 powers. What we need here, if we want to convert this to in-kind, we need a legislative change. That would put everybody on notice. It would put the candidates, the committees, the treasurers, and the creditors on notice. You better sue, okay? If you're not getting paid, it's going to be converted to an in-kind contribution. Without that being in the law, if this commission was to simply make up, policy, do a policy decision, says, no, those are really in kinds and should be reported, that would result, because there was no prior notice in legislation or even in advisory opinions, that would result in essentially involuntary contributions. Okay, those are not being consented to by the creditor. They're being forced to now have it turned into an in-kind contribution because of a decision that the commission makes. I think for something that important, this needs to be dealt with legislatively. Making it involuntary, and if we make it an involuntary contribution, and by the way, it would not be involuntary if there was prior notice, right? If the law was changed, everybody would know what the rule is. And, if they let it lapse and it becomes a in-kind contribution and it's over a limit, or it's a corporate contribution, then it has to be dealt with in the usual way we deal with those. Okay, but there would be prior notice. Without the prior notice, you have a due process issue, both for the committee and for the creditor. You have a takings potential violation in violation of the Constitution for the creditor, and you have a First Amendment violation for the committee. And I know you don't decide constitutional issues, but I got to get those into the record. So again, we would respectfully request that, based on the facts, well, actually not based on the facts are undisputed, based on what the law is, okay, that the commission find no violation with respect to what has been alleged in this complaint. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions? Looks like Commissioner Caraway has them.
Yes, thank you.
Very
Mr.
good.
McTighe, for you, please. First of all, hello.
Hi.
Part of my concern, I've had, in my consulting days, plenty of times that a candidate has stipped me or stipped one of my colleagues, for whatever reason. And so it gets into these unpaid bills. And you talk about the statute. Eventually, it could be forgiven. But once, if it was a corporation that turned into an in-kind, couldn't that be an illegal corporate contribution at that point? Do you follow me?
Yes, I
Okay.
do, yeah. And I was alluding to that. First of all, a corporation can't forgive the contribution, right?
Right.
So, because you'd have an illegal corporate contribution. At the same time, if this commission was to decide, oh no, under Ohio law, whether it's forgiven or not forgiven, once the statute of limitations goes by, it's automatic in kind. Yeah, that would be an illegal corporate contribution, right? Which would then have to be dealt with in the usual way that we do that. Okay. But yeah, that's what you're pointing out is the potential for problems. And, I think that there's a lot of policy questions that come up around this about, and I would point out about what the law should be with regard to creditors not getting paid by political committees. Okay. I think those policy questions need to be hashed out at the General Assembly. I would note that the commission, I think it's still the case, has statutory authority to recommend legislative changes. And that could be something that you could recommend. You could start by looking at what the Supreme Court did in its rules with regard to judicial candidates, so that everybody knows what the rule is, and then they got to get on it and take care of it.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Hartman now. May I ask that? Or-
One moment, let's just see if there are any other questions for Mr. Matag. Anything else? Okay, you're good to go now. You can bring them.
Thank you,
All
Madam
right,
Chair.
you're welcome.
Mr. Hartman, when I took a look at the material that was sent over, and I had to, it's hard to believe it's 2025. I had to Google when the mayor was on the ballot in Cincinnati because it feels like it was yesterday. Part of my concern is, or maybe my question, there's obviously been an outstanding debt owed by the committee, most likely since the post general of 2021. And so part of my inquiry would be, or maybe for the respondent, is have contributions came in to this committee since the post general of 2021 was filed and new expenditures have been paid or so let's
More recent that,
yeah. So for example,
Yes.
2022, the mayor wanted to send a Christmas card, and that was sent out using campaign funds. Has there been additional expenditures and or contributions into the account since the post general of 20?
yes, just for the information, the mayor was on the ballot earlier this month in a re-election primary.
Okay,
That was set.
okay.
So he's been
I need to
fundraising.
follow the news.
And in terms of expenditures, I can actually point to, we can confirm, Mr. McTide's law firm has incurred services for this campaign committee since the Perkins Coie stuff. I think since these other consultants, he's been paid. His law firm has been paid. So more recent debt for legal services has been paid. The Perkins Coie stuff and all these other consultants haven't been paid for years. And part of it is, I think the commission really needs to look and consider the definition in the statute of contribution in 3517.01C5. Contribution means a loan, gift, deposit, forgiveness of debt, donation, advance payment, or transfer of funds or anything of value. So when you consider that, a contribution includes a loan and it includes a forgiveness of indebtedness. And I think in a certain sense, I think we probably at this stage should go to a full hearing so we can develop an evidentiary record more complete. It's not okay. After 8 years, they finally started paying money back to this law firm. I'm sure the law firm was, what did we get in the mail? Where did this come from? The question really is, was that debt actually forgiven? Did the law firm, one, ever expect to be paid? And if so, why didn't they do anything for 8 years? I would submit that suggests, and at least enough for a full hearing, that was a forgiveness of indebtedness by the law firm. And the fact that they're paying now suddenly after we finally raised the issue has nothing to do with it. If that debt was forgiven, that's an in-kind contribution. If the debt was never really intended to be paid or was written off the books. I mean, Mr. Caraway, you talked about being stiffed by politicians, which I'm shocked that that would even occur. But you keep carrying them or you just write it off your books. You eventually write it off your books. That is a forgiveness of debt. And I would submit when nothing has happened on these debts for 8 years plus, at least with respect to the one and 4 years plus with respect to the other two, nothing. And there were funds in the campaign committee to pay, at least pay partial. It wasn't like it was a zero account. This is the incumbent mayor of Cincinnati and just got 83% of the vote in the open field primary. He's raising money. And we can get that record, that evidence in, I think, at a full hearing. So if they're, but we're dealing, I think, with the prospect of either a loan for 8 years. It's a loan in a certain sense, an interest-free loan. Or it's a potential forgiveness of indebtedness. But I think a full hearing would be warranted in order to flesh out what communications were occurring between the campaign and these creditors, if any. If there's nothing occurring and it's total silence, what were the correspondence right after? Hey, yeah, you owe us this. Don't worry about it. Who knows what happened? So when you look at the definition of contribution, especially in terms of a loan or a forgiveness of indebtedness, I think there's sufficient indicia that a full hearing would be warranted to flesh all that out. Thank you.
Chair, may I respond to that? Here. We're here today on the complaint that was filed. The complaint that was filed has only one legal theory in it, and that is statute of limitations has run. It's an automatic conversion of the debt to an in-kind contribution. I'm hearing alternative theories that are not in the complaint. The commission is confined to the four corners and the legal theory in the complaint. And also, complaints have to be based on personal knowledge. So if the complainant is going to make an argument that there was forgiveness or that there was, a loan, that this is actually a loan, we need those facts set out in a complaint based on personal knowledge. Right now, we are here only on the one legal issue, which is the effect of the statute of limitations running. It's the only thing we complained. Thank you.
I need to respond to something he said there. This commission deals, it's supposed to proceed under the rules of civil procedure. And the rules of civil procedure simply require what we call notice pleadings, put you on notice what the issue is, and you are not required to plead legal theories. That to say that you're bound by a legal theory is absolutely false. We argue that there were the unreported in-kind contribution. That is the gist of the complaint. We have the facts. Nothing happened for 8 years and 4 years respectively. And suddenly when this complaint gets filed, they're suddenly paying on it. We submit that there is at least an indicia, probable cause that there were in-kind contributions. Full hearing is warranted to flesh out for these contributions. Was this a loan? I mean, almost de facto, it's a loan if you think about it. It's just sitting there on the books, not being paid off. Also, was there a forgiveness of indebtedness? Doesn't drive from what they've done recently. You can ask them what's occurred during the past 8 years, and we have evidence that absolutely nothing has occurred for 8 years while this loan has, well, there's quote unquote indebtedness has sat out there. That gives good, strong indication of a forgiveness of indebtedness. Needs to be explored further. Thank you. And, so what we do is, your complaints have to be on personal knowledge. But what we've got can almost isolate that information to those who have the information. The candidate, Mr. Paravel, his campaign committee as treasurer. Obviously, nobody else, the general public is not in position to have personal knowledge. So if a campaign's able to hold that information tight and not let it out, who knows? We've given at least indication, probable cause, full hearings warrant, I think.
Okay, gentlemen, we've allowed for a great deal of back and forth deliberation without any respect to the chair. Are there any questions of the commission members for either of these gentlemen or any deliberation that you'd like to
Madam
have?
Chair, thank you for the two questions. Thank you very much. It's very helpful.
All right, very good. Oh yeah, it's been a while since you posed those. Very good.
I almost forgot my questions.
Appreciate the gratitude. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I just have a question of
Yeah.
our executive director. The issue is whether the debts were added to the campaign finance report, and that constituted the inaccurate reporting. When you review the campaign report, were those debts on the last page of the report?
Honestly, I didn't look at the entire campaign finance report as originally filed. I would have to take Mr. McTighe's word for that. I don't doubt him on that.
I'll represent him.
But, you know, but they were not on the cover page reflecting that those items, those debts were still outstanding.
So that's.
That I did look at.
And that's the issue.
Well, the issue before, I mean, I certainly would, I appreciate the arguments that both gentlemen have posed to the commission, you know, but certainly, while there is specific comment as it relates to including kind contributions, the respective violations alleged when it failed to file a complete and accurate campaign finance report. And it says so as to include contributions or, you know, the debts, or he referring to in-kind contributions, but I interpret that as there was a failure to file complete and accurate campaign finance reports. And that's where I'm relatively simplistically, admittedly, making the recommendation that I am to find a violation opposed to $50 fine.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Commissioner Towers, do you care to hear from Mr. Hartman or Mr. Mattig on that particular issue? Are you satisfied with the executive director's response? Okay, very good. Are there any other questions or any deliberation?
Just one more question to the executive director. Mr. McTighe indicated that your recommendation was off base and not germane to the issue. I think you said it, but I just wanted to kind of circle back on that. Do you stand by the recommendation in light of that critique?
Yeah, the essential allegation is that there was a failure to file a complete and accurate campaign finance report. And that's, you know, that's certainly, to me, what we have here before us. And as I think has been acknowledged, there was an incomplete campaign finance report. It's now been corrected. Those debts have been properly now reflected. You know, hearing all the arguments, I mean, I certainly, you know, if the commission wanted to have a full hearing on this, we could certainly do so. That's the commission's choice. It might be a reasonable thing for this commission to do, as Mr. McTighe indicated, of sending a letter to the General Assembly indicating that this is something that, you know, maybe should be addressed by the General Assembly. I believe that for us to try and address it would be challenging, let's put it that way, and difficult under the current statutory scheme.
If given the choice between a full hearing and your current recommendation, you'd stick with your current recommendation.
I would.
Madam Chair,
Very good, go ahead.
I'll move the executive director's recommendation for a violation $50 fine.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seeing the motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
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 4-3.
4-3.
All right, that motion carries. Okay, all right, very good. Precedent will be set another day. Maybe just reach out to the legislature anyway. All right.
Madam Chair, if I may, just a point of personal privilege, I do want to encourage the staff to get our latest advisory opinions on the website. They have been updated for a while.
Chris,
The pages have been created. They're out there. We're just waiting on getting the audit filled out, which is the correct word or verbiage. So as soon as that has been done, they'll go live. The pages have been created. They're Stuff is.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Tighe and Mr., I apologize, Hartman, and guest, company, fellow colleague. I don't want to mess her name. I don't want to be this. Lori, very nice to have you.
Hey, I just learned how to pronounce your last name like
Oh,
that.
hello. McTighe?
Well, most people say lore because the E's at the end, but people like to
No.
ignore it.
I was ignoring it for the first 6 months.
Very good. Oh, well, very good. All right. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna honor Mr. Caraway's desire to have a restroom break, so.
Thank
Let's do 10 minutes. Thank you.
Candidates can sniff their consultants? Oh, I wish I had known that.
Yes.
I found these little. menu
It's never-
It's no.
Lawyers charge so much. They cushion. That's. Mr. Kirschner.
You know, you can put this together.
These out some of the.
Is there anybody else in the room or online
There's
that?
nobody else in the room until we get to the hearing. I'm going to randomly call up cases, Madam Chair, members of the commission. We're going to start on page 4 of the outline. And I'm going to look at, under the good cause category, item number 29, Helen Christina Morris, 2025 R099. She is online. Chris, if you would call her up. Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is a referral. All of the referrals, by the way, are from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. My recommendation to the commission is to find violation, but for good cause not impose a fine. You can see the outline I have based on the explanation that I have. If the commission, if Ms. Morris could be seen and would like to be sworn, we could hear from her further if she so chooses. But my recommendation, again, is to find violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for the prosecution.
Okay, very good. Ms. Morris, if you would care to be sworn, you are welcome to, but you are not obligated to. Okay, and we would need you on camera if you were wanting to, but I could not hear
Yeah.
vocally what you were saying. Are you there, Ms. Morris?
I'm sorry, my permissions are not set properly.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, well, if you're okay, we can move forward without it. I don't think it's critical unless you feel you'd like to rearrange your permissions to be able to be seen and sworn. We do appreciate your presence and attendance. You're welcome to do that if you'd like, but it's not at all necessary or required of you. You should let us know one way or the other.
She would have to rejoin.
Okay, what is your desire, Ms. Morris?
Does she want to speak?
It's really a question if you want to present or not. You're not obligated to, but you're welcome to.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now, Ms.
Oh,
Morris.
great. I didn't know if that was permission that needed to be reset as well. No, I think that I explained what the issue was, and I will defer to you all.
Okay, very good.
Thank you
We
very
appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, very good. Are there any questions? Seeing none, any,
So move. Second.
okay, very good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Morris. Have a wonderful day.
The next matter I would bring to the commission is item number 44,
Thank you.
case 2025 R-114, Thomas Rounds. Again, this was for initially a failure to file, I think. With the Cuyahoga,
Page 4.
That is the next case in
Okay, thank you.
consecutive order to 29. I'll failure to file with.
was originally a failure to file. The report was filed. A response was submitted. Based on the nature of the response, my recommendation is to find violation, but for good cause, not impose a fine or refer the matter for the prosecution. Mr. Rounds is present. If the commission would, if he would like to speak and the commission would like to hear from him, we could certainly do so.
Okay, Mr. Rounds, would you care to speak today? If so, we'd like for you to be sworn.
Madam Chairman, I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay, very good. We appreciate you being present online. Are there any questions, commission members, or is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation of the executive director.
Okay, I believe we had a motion in the middle of your attempted motion. Do you want to be the second to this motion?
That'd be fine.
Wonderful. Seeing a motion in a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Rounds. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
Next, under the $50 fine category, item number 13, Beverly Jones, 2025 R-083. Madam Chair, members of the commission, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $50. The report was filed. It was late. A response was submitted to the commission. It was at least, I think it was over a month late. And so that's the basis, that's the primary basis for my recommendation. If the commission would like to hear further from Ms. Jones, we could certainly do so.
Okay, Ms. Jones, do you desire to present today? If so, we'd like you to be sworn. We can't hear you. We're not hearing you.
You can't, you're muted. You would need to unmute yourself.
It looked like you might have said no. For some reason, we're not hearing you. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yes, we can hear you now.
Did he say a $50 fine?
That is correct.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds good to me. You did receive my response, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have a few more things I could add, but that'll just take time. So let's just
Okay.
do this.
Well, it's, if you desire to, you could be sworn in. If not, we'll go ahead and proceed. If you're fine with that, then,
I'm fine with that.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Jones. All right,
Oh,
very
I
good.
do have a question though. How do I get $50 to you?
That is a great question, Mr. Richter.
You'll send out a disposition letter after the minutes are approved from this meeting. It will give you instructions on how to pay the commission. You would send it to the commission at its address of 1850 South High Street, Suite 1850 77 South High Street, Columbus, Ohio. So
Can I
you'll get
just
that,
edit that?
you'll get that in the disposition letter.
Okay, will do.
Okay, very good. We appreciate you. So before you jump to that payment, although we appreciate you, why don't we go ahead and make a formal motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation.
Second.
Very good. Seeing a motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Have a wonderful day. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the next case, Madam Chair, is item number 31, case number 2025-R-101, Dennis Murphy. Again, the report was late, a little over a month. A candidate did submit a response. Based on the materials presented, my recommendation is to find a violation and impose a fine of $50. Certainly, the commission could further hear from Mr. Murphy if it's so inclined.
Yes,
Okay,
I'd like to be sworn in if possible.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Go ahead and be sworn.
Please raise your right hand. You swear from to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, feel free to share. Thank you.
Madam Chairperson, other members of the commission, I appreciate your time today, as well as your service. Yeah, this is simple. I turned in my timely 2023 finance report with no activity. I failed to check the box to terminate the committee, thinking that I didn't have a requirement to file a 2024. I did not file a 2024. Got notice from Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. I was down there within 1 or 2 days to file my no activity 2024 finance report. This is my first appearance in front of the commission, my first referral. I request no fine. So appreciate your time.
Very good. We appreciate your input. Are there any questions of the commission members? Okay, seeing none, thank you. And is there any deliberation or a motion? And
Madam Chair, I'm prepared to move.
very good. Are you going to do it? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, very good. Appreciate all the eagerness. I think it was a latte that got Kirschner active. Feel like guys happy enough. All right, good. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, that motion passes 7-0. Thank you for your time.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next matter I would bring to the commission's attention is item number 33, case number 2025-R-103, Richard Neal. The report was submitted. It was late. A response was submitted. There was one prior matter in which the commission found a violation, but for good cause did not impose a fine. And so my recommendation here is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100. The commission would like to hear further from Mr. Neal. We could certainly do so.
Very good. Mr. Neal, would you like to share and be sworn? If so,
I would just say I'm fine with it.
all right. And we appreciate the colorful background. Thank you very much for livening up our meeting.
All right, have a great day.
All right, very good. Seeing no testimony, is there any deliberation or do we have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Lapp.
Second.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Knight. We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, that motion passes 7-0.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the next case I would bring to the commission's attention is item number 63, case number 2025-R-133, Enid Thomas. The report has been filed. It was late. There has been no response submitted to the commission, so my recommendation right now is to find a violation and impose a fine of $100. the commission, if Ms. Thomas would like to address the commission, that recommendation may change.
Okay, very good. Ms. Thomas, do you care to address the commission?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay, very good. Please be sworn.
Just raise your right hand. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
do.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I just have a comment. I don't know if I needed to be sworn in, but you said there's no reply. So I got a notice yesterday that I needed to appear today. So what is supposed to be submitted is, according to the letter, it said there were 21 days that I needed to submit a response that's
What we're looking
notarized.
for, Ms. Thomas, what we're looking for is just a general understanding of why the report was not timely filed.
Oh, I have no, this is my first year on council. There was no activity. So I have no excuse. I just didn't know. So
Do you have an open campaign committee and you just forgot to submit your
I
report?
forgot. I did. And as soon as I got notice on March the 6th, it was filed the next day on March the 7th.
Okay.
I'm curious. It sounds like you were just maybe unaware that it was a necessity, even at this point. As
Yes.
a first year council.
This is my first year. Yeah, 2024 was my first year. So now I know. So I apologize. So
Very good. It's a learning process. We've all been there to some degree. All right, very good. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, are there any other questions, the commission members?
Madam Chair, I just want to point out that Councilwoman Thomas mentioned that she just got the notice to appear yesterday. Are we sending those certified?
They initially were sent certified, and there are some that we've had mail service taking a while to get there. If they do come back to us, we will send it out regular mail. So it's hard to say.
And then we're still using the mailroom to send things out. It's just,
At least you got it.
yeah.
I'm
it's just
better
not-
with
Because it's the day before and she
Yeah,
has to
right.
appear.
Hey, she got, but one more day and we'd be fined $100 from the response.
Right.
Now you're
Right.
right. You're
So
right.
thank you for, showing up when you got the notice. Appreciate that. I was just curious.
Yeah, thank you.
Process. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Any other questions? Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair, our executive director indicated that under this fine and that the response with respect to whether there were other cases with each one of these under the $100 fine category, that Ms. Thomas did not have a prior. So I wanted all of the commissioners to know that because I'm going to adjust the recommendation of the executive director to $50. I move to find a fine and a fine violation and fine of $50.
Very good. I appreciate that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
She's moving her 50 from 100 and there's a second.
But she's never been found before.
It
No.
sounds like there's not been a
No.
previous
Right.
fine or,
No problem.
okay, well, we do have a motion and a second on the table, but I apologize, Ms. Davis, Vice Chair Davis would like, I think, to just make a statement.
If we could, I wanted to counter that and say, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Chairwoman, Madam Chair. That since this is her first violation, she just got on council completely confused, that I think it should be find her in violation, but good cause, no fine.
I'm fine with that.
She would have to withdraw.
Yeah, do you want to resent your amendment?
Yes, I will rescind my motion. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we're just gonna resend that second.
So do I then make the motion or are you gonna make it?
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Very good, go ahead.
So I would like to make a second motion, find Councilwoman Thomas in violation of filing a late report, but for good cause and have no fine with that. I said that all wrong.
That's correct.
You essentially covered the basics.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Very good. Seeing a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
The next case that I would bring to the commission's attention, I think we have it's on page 5, item number 52, under one of the per diem fine amounts, $11,000, $11,800 per day. case number 2025 R-122. It appears that the treasurer, Michelle White, is present before the commission. And so we can certainly hear from her. And the nature of what she says will affect my recommendation.
Okay, and this is the Shomo case, correct?
Correct.
Okay, Ms. White, do you care to be sworn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Please raise your right hand. You swear from to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Very good. Go right ahead.
Okay, being the treasurer of, I guess, the Shomo campaign, which at one time I was informed that he was going to pull out from the campaign. Then I was told by him that when I first got notice that a report was to be filed, that him and his wife, Anna Shomo, was getting ready to file the necessary paperwork because they pretty much ran their campaign, just him and his wife. So whoever donated, I don't know. When I got another letter in the mail, they came to my new residence in, I think, February or March, and picked up the letter and stated that he was going to take care of it. When I got this letter, I reached out to Anna on May the 5th, and she informed me that he had died in April. I don't know what happened in this campaign. I don't know what money was donated. I don't know who donated. I don't know anything of this campaign. I'm just stuck not knowing, and I'm stuck whatever consequences or penalties that is regarding this campaign.
Ms. White, thank you very much for your testimony. Are there questions of the commission members for Ms. White?
I do have one.
Go ahead, Mr. Knight.
So, so if, as treasurer of the campaign, I mean, why didn't you sort of either A, demand a more active role, or B, resigned from the role if they were providing you information?
Okay, can I answer that? I did ask to be more involved. They were in Cleveland. I lived at the time in Kent. I did ask to be removed. They were going to replace me with their son Hakeem, who wound up being on trial for murder, and now he's in jail for murder. So when these letters started coming back to my house, I then realized that I was still in the position. Because first of all, I wasn't supposed to be their treasurer. I was supposed to be the secretary.
Secretary for what?
That's what they was asking at the time. When I filled out the paperwork, I said, okay, I will be the treasurer.
The DOT was filed, that's it.
But so when I was still noticing that I'm still getting this paperwork, I knew then that nothing had changed. And when I spoke to Anna on May the 5th, and when I was asking her certain things like, what did y'all file? Can I get a copy of what you guys filed? She was saying that she was planning, I guess, Mike's memorial, that she was going to reach out to you guys. So therefore, I guess that didn't happen either.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for answering that question. Go ahead, Vice Chair, if you have a question.
Yes, the treasurer, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
White.
Ms. White, my question is, you had to have gone to the Board of Elections, or the document had to be brought to you, a DOT designation of treasurer that was signed by you? Okay, and so did you understand at that time that meant you would not be a secretary? I don't know what you were saying, secretary.
Yes.
And so if you didn't sign or go down to the Board of Elections to have your name removed as the designation of treasurer, that means that it is your sole responsibility, above and beyond even the candidate, to be responsible for it. were you aware that you had to have your name removed in order to no longer be treasurer? They can't just say you're not treasurer anymore.
No, I thought because when he turned in the paperwork for me to be the treasurer, that they got the same paperwork and did it for someone else for me to be removed. This was the first time that I've ever done anything in an election. So I didn't know that I personally had to remove myself.
Well,
She could do right now.
Right.
potentially.
okay, thank you.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair,
please.
yeah, if I may, I mean, Mr. Shump, he passed away, his obituary. I mean, there's no money in the account, right? So could we just find a violation, terminate the committee and move and dispense with the matter?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things. As I'm looking at it, the only thing that's been filed is a DOT.
Okay.
And that's it. I don't know whether there's been any other financial activity. She's certainly saying there hasn't been
Ma'am,
anything.
Do you know if there's been a bank account opened? Is there?
No.
No bank, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we have, and I, again, hearing now this and with this passage, we have, essentially terminated committees before when the candidate has passed away. Under circumstances, we have the advisory opinion that says we will do that based on circumstances such as this. And so I think it's 97 ELC 04, I think, that talks about that. So yes, we could certainly do that if that's the commission's. And part of that is declaring the committee terminated.
well, Madam Chair, I'm prepared to make that motion unless there's further discussion.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm assuming that this would be the will of the wife that was left behind, but we don't know that for certain. And so I'm wondering, because she's expressed that she asked to be removed from this account, but there was no action on that, and Executive Director Richter and I discussed, there is no formal way to remove yourself other than coming directly to the commission without being formally replaced in that paperwork by the next treasurer in line. Another appropriate action might be to honor her request to be removed here and allow for this account to be closed by the appropriate party, since she is actually signaling that she wanted to not be involved in this. So I don't know if that's something we want to pursue or consider, but it does not seem there's another action for removing her entirely. We could, by her notion at this point, close the account without really all of the facts at hand. We don't know if there are any outlier financials. At least that's what I'm hearing. So, yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Commissioner Tavares, and then Commissioner Lyle.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Mr. Richter, my question goes to who would the responsibility fall on if we remove the witness here today from the responsibility as treasurer? Who would it fall on?
We could and have in the past taken requests, let's say, from the deceased wife or some other interested party, of the attorney, something along those lines. And have done that in the past. Based on what I'm hearing, et cetera, my recommendation is not to, with all due respect, Madam Chair, is to not allow her to go away, but to go ahead and act on the fact that this gentleman presumably passed. And she has recommended and informed us of that, and to then just go ahead and declare the committee terminated based on our advisory opinion. Because otherwise we'll have to deal with it at some point in the future. Let's put it that way. How to deal with it I guess from the wife or someone else, or it just sits out there and floats for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Richter.
He's recommending termination of account. Okay, very good. All things considered, I'm not opposed to that anyway. I was just suggesting we have a few actions as options. So do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Well, we have a motion. Mr. Carroll, I thought we made that motion.
He was willing
Yeah.
to make them. He's always, likely around.
All right, okay,
Just
all right.
sample time to deliver.
Madam Chair, briefly spoke with Commissioner Knight. I would like the treasurer to go on record one more time and assure us that there is no money, there were no bank accounts.
She doesn't know.
Okay, all right.
She couldn't possibly, even if she did know that, right? They were giving her no her information.
You can ask her again if you want.
Okay. It's okay. I'm prepared to make the motion
Okay,
to move on.
all right.
Um,
Ms. White, thank you for your patience. Go right ahead.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I would like to move that we find a violation. And for good cause, not oppose fine, and to terminate this campaign committee.
Second.
Seeing a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, that motion passes 6-1. Thank you very much for your time, and we do express our condolences for the candidate's family. Thank you very much.
The next matter I'll bring essentially back to the commission, because I've only noticed after the fact, is the reconsideration matter that we dealt with when Mr. Katz was here, item 68, the very last one on the bottom of page 5, 2024 S-039. I've noticed that the treasurer for that PAC is present online, Bobby Lekich. And so, Chris, if you would call him up. We've kind of already dealt with this, Mr. Lekich, but if there's something you'd like to add, we reconsidered it, consolidated with the other outstanding matter that you have before the Secretary's office and imposed a fine of $200. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the commission? We've kind of dealt with this already. But you're muted right at the moment. Yes, you need to unmute and be sworn.
Yep.
Sworn in.
Very good.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is 61 pages. For the commission members' reference, we are dealing again on page 5, case 60 or number 68 at the very bottom of the page, 2024 S-039. Thank you for your patience. Okay, now that everybody's on the same page, are we good? Yes, yes. So, yeah. Phil, what is your rationale here considering?
We want to give him the opportunity to address the commission briefly. Since he has been patient enough for the wait, we obviously overlooked him when the matter was actually brought forward.
He's here. So we're giving him an opportunity to have a voice. Potentially we could reconsider, but that would not be normal precedent. Go ahead, please, and thank you.
No, thank you. Good morning. So I did receive I think incident where I was supposed to report, since there was no activity. I didn't know I needed to report anything for the Ohio Advocates for Freedom and Liability PAC that was set up. I did call up last year and again this year, saying I want to close, there was no activity, I'd like to close it down. And I was told that I had to get up to report everything as being 0, no activity, before I can do anything else. And then I have to come back and ask to be close out the PAC. So I'm just asking, I'm sure that's a protocol or not, but that's what I was kind of told. And I just hear today that there is a fine, and who pays for that? I guess I'm just kind of curious now to see how that gets paid.
Very good. We appreciate that. Are there any questions for this gentleman and or Phil, would you like to answer directly to the question?
Yeah. I mean, you as the treasurer, you have responsibility for paying the fine. And again, because there were multiple matters outstanding, but you did take care of it, that was the nature, or that was the basic reason why I first off reconsidered the prior matter and then combined these with the pending matter that the secretary had filed in advance, because you had filed all the campaign finance reports.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So how do I close this thing out and just stop this?
It is closed. Based on what I saw, it is closed.
Oh, they did close. Okay. So when the letter I sent.
The secretary's office got your report.
Oh, they got my letter. Okay. They got this. They got the reports and they got the letter I sent out. Okay.
Okay, very good. We appreciate you. Sorry for not seeing you online. We do apologize. Is there anything else from the commission at this time? Or do you have any other questions for their executive director?
No, me personally, no.
Okay, very good. We appreciate you. Sorry for the bumpy ride today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
There are, okay, George Ron, okay, there is one person remaining outstanding. It's reflected on the thing is Eclipse Shirt. I'm not sure what that is. The other person that is remaining online is here for the hearing. George Roth, I'm not sure what his responsibility of going away. But I don't know if you want to try and call up the one that's reflected as Eclipse Shirt, Chris. I'm not sure what that relates to.
What number is it?
Eclipse Shirt's gone. Oh, now Eclipse Shirt is gone, and so
How
therefore it
about
doesn't
this?
relate to anything.
Is there anybody yet online that is waiting to address a case?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, PR, all right, good deal. All right, very good. Okay, seeing that, we will return back. Do you want to go to?
Should we go
the
through,
hearing?
we can go through all the group recommendations, get those done and over with, and then we'd be to the hearing.
Okay, very good.
Madam Chair, the first matter, I'm just recommending that we dismiss those complaints that I have listed there, because at the commission's April 10th meeting, the commission declared all of those campaign committees terminated. And so these referrals came during that. I wasn't aware that these were present, so I'm just recommending that we dismiss all these complaints. Yeah, easy for me to say.
Madam Chair, I move that we take the recommendation of the executive director.
Second.
Okay, seeing a motion, a second. Phil, are we referring to
Yeah.
2025? You want me to go ahead and
Go
read
ahead.
these off for the record? 2025R-090-113-120-125-127 and -137. We do have a motion and a second.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes 7-0 for all of those mentioned cases.
Do you want to go through, or do you want me to go through? Because then, yeah, we can skip the good cause because we've dealt with both of those. We'd be off to the $50 fine category next, where the reports have been filed, a response submitted, and the filing is at least 1 month late. Items 8, 40, 41, 47, 49, 51, and 64. Case numbers 2024 2025 R, thank you, 0-0 -078. -110, 111, 117, 119, 121, and 134.
Very good. Are there any questions of commission members?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those cases pass 7-0.
Next item is the $100 fine category, item 22, case number 2025 R-092 is the only one of that group that has not been dealt with. The report has been filed, but no response has been submitted. Oh, and I had one prior. I apologize for that. This case did not have a prior. I put that into that category. You can see the star by it. That was an update from response back from the Board of Elections.
He's referring to case 2025R-092.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Item 22 on page 4. Okay, are there any questions? Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Madam Chair, you can continue the next case if you would like to.
Are we talking 38?
No, 48.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't see that there. Okay. We're going to go ahead and continue. Item number 48, that's case 2025R-118.
We got a response this an email request this morning from the candidate to continue the matter. Next is item number 38, case number 2025R-108. to reconsider the outstanding matter 2024 R-057, vacate the previous imposition of the per diem fine in that case, and instead consolidate this. It should be in addition about consolidate that case with 2025 R-108. Find a violation and impose a fine of $100.
Very good. Are there any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a few seconds. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes 7-0.
The next series of cases actually are similar to the ones that we dealt with up above, where we just dismissed them, where back on April, there was a series of referrals, long-time referrals from the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections. And after discussing it with staff up there, all of these matters are at least 7 or 8 years old, if not more. Reports have not been filed in that time period. There's nothing been reflected in the campaign finance reports prior. And so similar to those matters that we dealt with in April, I'm making this recommendation where we find a violation, impose a fine of $500, declare the committee terminated so we don't have to deal with them in the past. Presumably, the likelihood is they don't necessarily come into compliance otherwise or pay a fine, and then we'll send those along to the Attorney General's office for collection. So, and previous matters have been referred to the Attorney General's office. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions the commission may have.
Okay, very good. And would you like me to read those case
Oh,
numbers?
yes, please. I'm sorry.
That is all right. We're referring to cases 2025R-077-079-080-084-089-094-112 and -128 respectively. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Go ahead.
The next category are the $25 a day with reconsideration option. These are the ones that are before the commission for the first time. No report has been filed, and so I'm recommending that the commission find a violation, impose a fine of $25 a day, give the respondent the opportunity to have the matter reconsidered if they come into compliance. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may have.
Are there any questions of the executive director?
2025 R-097 -124 and -135. Sorry.
Any questions on those three cases? Okay, very good. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries 7-0.
Next case, item number 36, case number 2025 R-125 R-106. Consolidate with case number 2024 R-501, which is pending. Find a violation and impose a fine of $25 a day with reconsideration option. There is that one prior. No report has been filed.
Very good. And that is case number 202. Oh, you already read it. I apologize.
it's okay.
Okay,
You can do that. You're the chair.
just for fun. All right, any questions? Okay, very good. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think Mr. Lyle crossed the finish line first for you, Mr. Knight or Carol. I couldn't even tell
More than most.
who was down there having. Sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes 7-0.
Next category is the category of $25 per day with reconsideration option with payment of $250. Items 23, 28, 39, case numbers 2025 R-093, 098, and 109. No report has been filed. This is those persons' second time before the commission, and so you have heard my recommendation.
Okay, very good. Are there any, or did you read the case numbers?
I read the case.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right.
Ms. Tavares won that case.
You guys are really having a hard time over here. You're gonna have to step it up. All right, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? 7-0.
Next category, $1,475 per day, plus $25 per day into the future with reconsideration option for items number 11, 30, 37. Case numbers 2025 R-081, 100, and 107. These are campaign committees that are before the commission essentially for the third time.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. 7-0, sorry.
That's okay. The next category is 11,800 plus $100 per day for the reconsideration option. That 11,800 represents the 118 days between the due date for filing the annual report and today's date. The matters that are under consideration here are items 17, 26, and 53. Case numbers 2025 R-087, 096, and 123. I'll be glad to answer any other questions the commission may have. These are cases where no report has been filed and there are at least 3 prior violations.
Okay, are there any questions?
I have any questions to the director.
Absolutely, Mr. Knight.
So have these been turned over to the AG at all yet?
I don't know that sitting here, but I am comfortable that they have been at some point, yes.
Okay. I guess to kind of the discussion with the Secretary of State earlier, and I know historically we've not done this, but Commissioner Caraway's comments, this just feels like the type that have reached a point for potential withdrawal for prosecution. They're clearly multiple violators, multiple priors, paying no attention to the laws whatsoever. If these aren't, poster children for referrals, I don't know what are. But I'll just leave my comment at that. Thank you.
Very good. Well, is your insight feeling like a motion? You've got,
I'll remove that we refer these for prosecution.
Second.
oh, we got the motion and the second coming for the right. All right, you guys are gonna have to, all right. All in favor?
Whoa, okay. So now what we have
Motion
is a finding of a violation and a referral for prosecution
Correct.
is the pending motion. And that was made by Mr. Knight and seconded by Mr. Caraway.
Items number 17, 26, and 53 on page 5.
7's a question.
53, 11,800 category. Yes, Mr. Lyle.
So I just want to reiterate this. I think I heard it right. Sometimes it's hard to hear down here. But, so these have been sent to the AG?
I don't know that. Well, give me a second. I can look on. I don't know that as I sit here. Give me a second and let me run their names in the database.
So I guess my question
But I
is,
believe that
my question
some
would
of them
be,
would have
if they have been sent to the AG's office, do we still have jurisdiction over them? Or is that now in the AG's jurisdiction?
well, let's put it this way. I work with the AG's office on on resolving these kinds of matters as they go about. Okay, Shern.
I understand that. You
You
understand
know,
what
and
I'm
so,
asking?
yeah, they'll come back to us and say, like to, resolve this, et cetera. I will work with the AG's office on resolving that. I'm not sure what you're asking. I apologize. I'm not
Okay,
staying
what
right
I'm
here.
asking is if we have sent it to the AG's, is it proper for us? And I'm not saying that I disagree with Mr. Knight and Mr. Caraway. I want to know procedurally if it's proper that we move it to prosecution, since it seems that it is in the jurisdiction of the AG, if that's the fact. That makes sense?
It's a separate matter here, so it would be this matter that it doesn't undo the referrals from the AG's office. It would just send this case along to the Cuyahoga County prosecutor, because these are from Cuyahoga. Would send it along to the Cuyahoga County prosecutors with directions to prosecute.
Okay, but then isn't that working? I'm just trying to think logically.
This is
Isn't
the
that
first-
at cross purposes. If the AG has the assignment to follow this up, and then we give it to a prosecutor, now you have 2 avenues. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
If I may, though not being a lawyer, I think I could clear this up. Can you please correct me, say the director or other officials I'm wrong. When we refer to the AG,
Right.
They are merely acting as a collection agent on our behalf. They could refer that out to a third party collection agency and often do that. It's the collection piece. It's not an enforcement. Here, we're sending to a prosecutor for enforcement of the violation. It's a different dynamic.
Okay, then that being the case, we then follow up with the AG and say this is now in prosecution.
Seems like that would be appropriate practice.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Madam Chair.
Question for you, Mr.
This is the first, so I mean,
Oh, okay.
I can't say that we've got any experience in doing this. I don't know that I would necessarily be inclined to, well, I guess we could inform the AG's office of this, but I wouldn't necessarily want to stop them from attempting collection efforts. If they can collect
Okay, fair,
on this.
fair. All right. Just trying to get the procedure done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we could, don't get me wrong, but if we stop the AG's office and then collection efforts are done, we're not sure what the prosecutor's office is gonna do with this. And so my inclination would be to inform the AG's office that we've done this, but not necessarily direct them to stop any collection efforts they may be undertaking.
And that's what I was suggesting, just they should be aware that we've done that, but we should still highly encourage them to continue collection efforts.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
That's Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, to the Executive Director, I guess I would say I don't disagree with Commissioner Knight or Caraway, but my biggest concern is that we are not quite sure if these folk have even received notice. That seems to be an issue sometimes for folk. They just don't get notice. So are we very clear and succinct that each of these individuals, these three cases, received notice and they are just refusing to respond to us? Because if the mail isn't getting to them, they're not aware that this is an issue, how do we expect them to respond?
Well, obviously we send out, as Chris indicated earlier, we send out multiple notices on matters such as this.
Right, I guess what I'm saying is some people get them, some people don't, some are certified, some are not. We know that there's some issue with.
I'm looking right at the moment on item 8, on case number 87, case number 96, and on 123. Get to that just to double check. We have had certified mail green cards returned on all 3 of those cases.
Thank you.
Very good. Are there any other questions or any additional deliberation?
And Madam Chair, I guess I would just say, these are perpetual offenders that have disregarded Ohio's campaign finance laws.
Disagree.
Okay, very good. We still have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any additional conversation that needs to be had? Okay, if not, we're prepared to take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that passes 7-0.
I'll go ahead and read off all the remaining items. Madam Chair, you have the ability to just continue those items, 66, 12, 15, 16, 18, 21, 25, 34, 35, 45, 46, 56, 59, 61, case numbers 2025 R-130, 2025 R-076, 082, 085, 086, 088, 091, 095, 104, 105, 115, 116, 126, 129, and 131.
You're very good. I'm gonna go ahead and grant continuances on each of those sections and line items,
Thank you.
cases.
And then the last item under the group considerations is the reconsideration matter of item number 2024 R-452, Christian Key Beck, item 67. Recommending that the commission reconsider this matter, vacate the previous imposition of a per diem fine, and instead impose a fine of $200. Beck is out of Hamilton County. Get down. is, there was one prior, a $100 fine was imposed in 2023. That was paid. He indicates the failure to file was due to simple oversight. Candidate didn't time and file the reports. With reports have now been submitted and the committee is in compliance. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions the commission may have.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions from the executive director? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion?
So move, Madam Chair.
Second.
Very good. Thank you, ladies. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Now we are off to hearing, Madam Chair, members of the commission.
Very good. Mr. Hartman and Mr. Quinn, if you would like to
And we
come forward. You may have a 7.5 minute break. We are going to resume and start your case at 12:45.
You're so generous.
12:45.
Well, true.
Not disrespect the process. I'm the same thing, but I carried twins. I have a stronger one. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
You sound like my mother.
Did she carry twins or?
She never carried
The
twins,
strong one.
but anytime.
I don't mind.
Anytime we drove
Good. We are back. Thank you for your patience. We are on page 6, item number 69, case 2023G-042. Thank you, Mr. Hartman and Mr. Quinn, for your presence and for all that are here to support the case. Why don't we go ahead, Mr. Hartman, you're welcome to take the stand.
Do a quick opening. Madam Chairman, members of the commission, case before you involves a very simple question of whether an organization known as Clock Tower Collaborative was an unregistered political action committee. During the course of the 2023 city council elections in and about the city of Hudson. Just to refresh the commission, the definition of a political action committee means a combination of two or more persons, the primary or major purpose of which is to support or oppose any candidate, political party or issue, or to influence the results of any election through express advocacy. We will submit that the evidence today will show that Clock Tower Collaborative, that the evidence by preponderance demonstrates that it was a combination of two or more persons, and that its primary or major purpose was to support candidates for public office, multiple candidates. That would be sufficient to meet the definition, and therefore, at the end of the day, we were going to ask the commission to find a violation of the law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartman. Mr. Quinn, would you also like to provide an opening statement?
Briefly, Madam Chair, thank you. Again, Patrick Quinn, on behalf of the respondents, good afternoon, everyone. With me at the council table is Jane Howington, one of the individual respondents. And for the second time today, I'm here to tell you that my client is not a PAC. The evidence is in fact going to show that the Clock Tower Collaborative was organized, is now defunct, is now dissolved, but was at the relevant time a not-for-profit corporation whose purpose, whose primary, almost exclusive purpose was to promote things such as voter outreach, voter educations, and civility in and about the city of Hudson. There is, I would submit, no evidence, or there will not be any evidence of efforts by the Clock Tower Collaborative to promote or oppose candidates, to promote or oppose issues, or to influence the results of an election via express advocacy. In fact, the evidence of which is fairly limited, both duration and time, in the time frame, and in number of communications, will reflect that the purposes, the communications, and the activities of this organization were quintessential good government activities, not focused on any candidate or group of candidates or issue or group of issues. For that reason, the proper disposition at the conclusion of the evidence will be to find that the Clock Tower Collaborative is not a PAC. Is not a PAC, excuse me. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Hartman.
Thank you.
We do that real quick.
We are, and I think parties are in agreement to stipulate as a fact that Clock Tower Collaborative was a combination of two or more persons.
That's correct.
Very good.
So that narrows the issue down. What was its major purpose or function? This time I would call as a witness Jane Howington.
You'll go.
Very good.
Over to you. Chair.
Okay.
Howington, do you mind being sworn? Thank you.
Howington, good afternoon. Can you please state your full name?
Jane Howington,
And will you please provide your residence address?
7887 Valley View Road.
No problem. You're familiar with an organization as known as Clock Tower Collaborative.
Yes.
And can you explain how Clock Tower, what was your involvement with Clock Tower Collaborative?
I was an active participant.
Were you would you consider yourself one of the leaders of Clock Tower Collaborative?
Yes.
And Clock Tower Collaborative came in about as a result of a meeting that occurred in or about March of 2023. Is that correct?
Well, it wasn't totally just that meeting. That meeting was probably what provided a seed, but it was a month after that before it was really identified and defined.
Before, it was not until April about that it actually came into existence, or about that time, correct? But there was an original meeting, about 50 to 60 people attended that meeting, correct?
Yes,
And that the determination was not to basically create a nonprofit advocacy organization, correct?
general consensus of that gathering was that we were not interested, the majority of people were not interested in forming a political action committee. They were more interested in working to educate, inform, and promote civility.
But would you agree that this group of people that was meeting in March of 2023 thought that the best thing to do would be to have a nonprofit advocacy organization? You remember giving sworn testimony in January of 24 in the Summit County Common Pleas Court? And you were put under oath there, correct? And you were asked various questions about Clock Tower Collaborative, correct? When I hand you the transcript from that hearing, I'm on page 9 of that transcript. I'm going to start at line 15.
I go get my.
I don't have a copy of it. Okay, all right,
I'll look over your shoulder. Where are you?
9.
Hold on, sir.
Yeah, this is the transcript from that hearing up there. And line 15.
Well, they've done that about.
She did her.
I had cataract surgery. I'm still not used to this.
Okay, I'm gonna go start up on page 9 at line 15. Question is paid to back up, then what was the kind of who was behind the initiative of forming the Clock Tower Collaborative? Will you read what your answer was under oath there in Summit County?
There was probably a group of probably 50 or 60 people that were interested in voter turnout. And they met in March and decided they did not want to be a PAC. What they thought that the best thing to do would be to have a nonprofit advocacy organization.
Thank you. So you did testify there that best thing they thought was to have a nonprofit advocacy organization, correct?
Yes, but I'd like to correct what you asked me was did I say an advocacy organization, political organization? And I did not say that. I said it was an advocacy organization.
Okay. Well, the transcript can address whether or not I said political advocacy organization, but so it was an advocacy organization.
Yes.
And ultimately, how did the formation occur with respect to Clock Tower Collaborative as a nonprofit? Who took that initiative and effort?
The Clock Tower, there was a group of 3 or 4 people that got together to say, as a result of the March meeting, what could we do? And it was at that meeting that we decided that a 501c4 would be appropriate as an educational advocacy outreach organization.
And so who were those people?
George Roth, Bill Wildridge, myself.
You know a person named Jan Gusich?
No, I know a person by the name of Jan Gussick.
Gusich, I apologize. So was she involved in it?
Yes, she was there.
She was possible. Okay, who else was there then?
I think that was it.
Okay. And do you know who undertook the effort to form the corporate entity?
To the best of my recollection, Jan was going to work with her husband to file the IRS papers, which he did. And we worked with registered agents to file the 501c4.
And what was the source of funding for Clock Tower Collaborative?
Our own personal funds. Oh, initially, our own personal
Okay,
funds.
let's start both. Initially, what was the source of funding?
Just our personal funds.
When you say our personal fund, who is our person?
Those folks that were at that table.
You, Mr. Woodridge?
Mr. Roth.
Okay. Anybody else?
Not that I recall.
Gonna hand you what's being marked in exhibit 1. The outside. And I represent to you that these are records that we obtained from the bank accounts for Clock Tower Collaborative. And if you go to the last page.
Mr. Hartman, if I may, could you wait?
Wait, goes down there, okay.
Thank
Just go last longer.
Speed is not the objective. Exhibit.
Different one. Just, these are the, do you recognize these as the checks that were the donations made to Clock Tower Collaborative throughout its existence?
Yes, most of these were the donations that were made after we did fundraising initiative, yes.
Okay, well, let's look at this. We'll talk about the fundraising initiative initially, but if you go to the last page, it's kind of in reverse chronological order here. See the one check, the last check is your donation,
Yes,
and then Mr. Woolridge,
yes,
then Mr. Ross on the next page, bottom of the next page, or previous page. You see that?
yes,
Then I also see one on the same date. All yours were dated June, May 25th, May 30th. There's Mr. Roth was June 12th. I see one June 10th from a Janet Stoley.
mm-hmm,
Was she also in that initial group?
no,
Okay. So but she funded it before Mr. Roth did. Correct?
yes.
Okay. Now you talked about fundraising. What fund, do you have a fundraiser?
We sent a letter out to some people telling them what the Clock Tower Collaborative's intentions were and asking for donations.
And so based upon that, people gave you donations.
Yes,
And the donations are on exhibit 1. Right?
yes.
You would look at well, let's look at the first page. I'm looking at these of exhibit 1. And it's the second donation down. It's kind of the 4th entry on the page. You see a check there from Lois Chaffee.
Yes,
Okay. Can you read what's in that memo line?
donation Lupito Carino.
Okay. Do you know what Lupito Carino means?
She was one of the upcoming candidates for the fall election.
She was a candidate running for the Hudson City Council in that November 2023 election, right? This would have been one of the checks that Clock Tower Collaborative received based upon its solicitations of this letter you sent out explaining what you were doing, correct?
Correct.
You can go to this 3rd page. Want to look at the 3rd line down, or the 3rd and the 2nd check down from Virginia Frazier. Do you see that?
Yes.
Can you read what's in the memo line on that check?
Madeline Lapidi Carino.
Campaign. See the word campaign there as well?
Yes,
So it's Madeline Lapidi Carino campaign.
yes,
Miss Madison Lapidi Carino being one of the candidates for Hudson City Council, correct?
that's correct.
And based upon the letter that Clock Tower Collaborative sent out saying, here's what we're doing, send us donations. You get this check where somebody puts that in the memo line, correct?
Yes,
Can you look at the next check down, the immediately next one from a Patricia Eldridge?
yes,
Can you read what's in that memo line, please?
for Madeline Lapini Carino.
Madison Lapidi Carino, we've already established was one of the candidates for city council, correct?
Yes,
And based upon the letter that Clock Tower put out soliciting donations, you received that check
yes,
from Miss Eldridge, correct?
yes,
And Miss Eldridge, based upon your letter, put that in the memo line, correct?
yes.
You can go to the 4th page. Top left, for the commission, I got them on 2 sides for you. I've got them on single side for the actual exhibits. On the fourth page, top check from a Penelope A. Freeze Revocable Trust. Do you see that?
Yes.
And can you read what's in that memo line, please?
Earmarked for Madeline Lupiti Carino.
You're gonna have to locate Korea being the candidate for city council in the November 23 election, correct?
Yes.
And that's just based upon the letter, in response to the letter that Clock Tower put out saying, here's what we're doing. You get this check where somebody earmarks it for a candidate for city council.
Yes.
Now, would you have received these checks and deposited them?
Yes.
Okay, because if you look up to the right of each of those checks, it has your name and it says for deposit only. Do you see that with respect to the Freeze Revocable Trust there?
Yes.
So you got these checks, you saw them, you made the deposits.
Yes.
You would have seen where people may earmarked it for Madison Lapidi Carino, correct?
Yes.
Did you ever say to them, wait a minute, no, we're not involving ourselves in any particular candidates and send the money back and say that's not our purpose?
I had made that clear to Madeline before these were received.
Okay, so you told Madeline that before they received, but did you tell the people who sent these checks, who said for her campaign, it's earmarked for her? Did you send them back and say, that's not what we're doing? We don't want your money that's being earmarked for a candidate. Did you say that to the people who sent the checks?
No.
You took their money that they had earmarked for Madison Lapidi Carino, correct?
I took their money for the Clock Tower Collaborative based on the letter that was sent to them.
And ignoring what they wrote on their check.
Yes.
Now, it looked like all these checks are from individuals, save one. I want to talk about that one. It's on the second page. On the back of the first page for the commission. And it's the third line, third entry down, one in the very middle. You see it there.
Yes.
Indicates it's from Friends of Casey Weinstein. You see
Yes.
that? What is Friends of Casey Weinstein?
I imagine it's one of his political groups. Casey Weinstein's was a representative at the time.
Okay. So he was the state rep from representing at least part of Summit County, correct?
Yes.
And do you know the circumstances under which you received this check from Mr. Weinstein? Strike that. Did you receive this check personally from Mr. Weinstein?
I received it through the mail.
You did. So it wasn't he didn't bring it to an event.
No.
Are you aware that in a previous case before the commission, Mr. Weinstein indicated that he has checks with him so he can write them when he gets going to various events?
I would not.
Madam Chairwoman, I would object to that. There's no possible foundation for it.
She wouldn't know, so I mean, I give this sustain it.
I think she said she didn't know actually, so. Okay, we'll move on. Can you tell me or identify, strike that, in this 2023 City of Hudson Council elections, there were just ward elections, correct? It was not an at-large election, or was there at-large as well?
Correct.
Which one was it? Just wards?
Ward and school board.
Right, but there was not an at-large.
No.
Can you identify who the candidates for the November of 2023 election were from Ward 1 for the City of Hudson?
I probably can't recall that information.
Okay, if I told you it was Pat Getz and Todd Zedek, Zedek, would that sound correct?
Yes.
Do you know who candidates were from Ward 2? Let me ask, would you agree that the candidates for Ward 2 for the City of Hudson Council elections in November of 2023 was Madeline Lapidi Carino and Chris Foster?
Oh, yes.
would you agree that with respect to Ward 3 for the City of Hudson election in November of 2023, the candidates originally were Chris Macchione and Skylar Sutton originally,
Yes,
but that Mr. Macchione withdrew and then somebody filed as a write-in candidate, that being a Michael Donovan. Would you agree with that?
yes,
Would you also agree that with respect to Ward 4 for the November 2023 City of Hudson Council election, the candidates was Michael Byrd and Scott Roofer?
yes,
With respect to the school board races, you mentioned the school board races. When some of the candidates were Tom Tobin, Laura Jones, and Mark Zurek, that being DZUREC.
Yes.
Were there other candidates for school board?
yes.
Do you know who those candidates were?
I don't recall.
And I understand, I think this Clock Tower Collaborative sent out a survey to the candidates for City of Hudson election for that, during that year, correct?
That's correct.
Were you involved in drafting and preparing that question?
Not really, no.
Okay. Do you know when that survey was sent to those candidates?
I think it was late August. I think we sent a second follow-up in September. I
Okay.
can't remember on total,
Okay.
but it was that time frame,
Late August, early September of 2023, the first survey went out, correct?
as I recall, yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's being marked as Exhibit 2. What's that? Oops. Oh, I split it up. Wrong, sorry there. You had a chance to look at Exhibit 2?
Yes.
What is Exhibit 2?
Exhibit 2 is an email from me to a group of people.
Okay. And the subject line is update to Team Hudson. Do you see that?
Yes,
Okay, and this was sent on July 29th, 2023.
yes.
Can you, generally speaking, we'll get into the particulars, but generally speaking, what was your purpose in sending this email out?
This was an email from me as a person, as an individual, to other people that I know as individuals, giving them updates on some information. This was not anything to do with the Clock Tower Collaborative.
But you were involved with Clock Tower, correct?
Yes,
You
I'm
were-
involved with quite a number of organizations.
Besides you, did any strike that? Considering the amount, how much time did you think you spent on Clock Tower compared to other people spending time on Clock Tower efforts?
I don't know, maybe 50%.
Was there somebody more involved in Clock Tower than you?
No,
You were the most involved person with Clock Tower.
yes,
You were, so, okay, so you're sending this out and you start off with, so much has happened in the last few weeks. I want to get a post out to provide an update. First off, quote, please meet our award candidates. Do you see that?
yes.
Who is R?
Most of these people were people that were at the March meeting. These are not Clock Tower Collaborative people. At the meeting in March, I told the people that were there, I took the lead to say that I would be willing to do communications with them. These are not Clock Tower Collaborative. They were a group of people that were interested in doing something. These are so when I say we means Team Hudson. We means the people that had been together in March to say, what can we do?
But who determined who our award candidates were?
I did.
You didn't just say, here are all the candidates who have filed thus far for Hudson City Council. Right?
Yes.
And then you go on in the next sentence says, I don't have the final names for the school board candidates, but we know Laura Jones, Tom Tobin, and Mike Zurek are running and represent working for the best interests of the school system and our kids. You see that?
Yes.
So in this email to this group that met, that kind of was in March, which was the foundational meeting of Clock Tower Collaborative, or from which Clock Tower sprung.
Correct, not correct.
Clock Tower did not spring forth from this March meeting, you're saying now?
Clock Tower Collaborative is totally separate. It's an advocacy organization that the seed was planted at that meeting, that that's something they wanted to do. This was not a representation of anything with Clock Tower Collaborative. And Team Hudson was not Clock Tower Collaborative.
Okay, we'll get back to that email. I want to hand you now Exhibit 3, which is just that. I'm handing you what's been marked as Exhibit 3. Can you identify what that is?
I believe it's an email from me.
On August 6th of 2023, correct?
Okay,
Do you see that top right?
yes,
You agree it's August 6th, 2023?
yes.
And the heading of this email, can you read what the heading is on the title of the email at the very top?
News from the collaborative.
Okay. And if you compare, if I'm comparing the names that you sent your Exhibit 2, that is the July 29th meeting, with the names on this August 6th meeting where you provide news from the collaborative, I would say most, if not all of those names overlap. Okay? Is there a reason why you're sending news from the collaborative that's essentially the same group that you sent this July 29th email?
I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know what you're asking me. You're trying to lead me into something which I don't appreciate, but I have people that I know as an individual, and I have people I know as a collective, as people interested in the collaborative. They don't necessarily be the same. They're not necessarily any different. When I speak for myself, I speak for myself. When I speak for the collaborative, I speak for the collaborative.
So you're throwing one hat on, off and on, off and on, depending upon whatever's convenient for the moment, correct?
I can speak to you as Jane Howington, or I can speak to you as a representative of the collaborative, but I'm speaking to you.
Okay. So you're speaking essentially to the same people. So in the Exhibit 2, the July 29th email, your testimony is, I wasn't speaking as part of the collaborative. Is that your
That's correct.
Now, as Exhibit 3, the August 6th email, where you provide news from the collaborative, are you speaking about the collaborative or on behalf of the collaborative?
Yes.
Okay, so this email, at least you admit Exhibit 3 is on behalf of the collaborative. And here you're encouraging people, please follow the collaborative Facebook page. This is in the first paragraph. Please share it with friends, etc. Then you say, as mentioned in the spring, you see that in the second paragraph.
Yes.
We want to have a get together for all of you to meet our 4 ward candidates. Do you see that?
Yes.
Firstly, as mentioned in the spring, what are you referring to there?
Communications with people, nothing specific.
You're not referring to the meeting you had in March of 2023?
I may have, I don't know.
But then you say, you're speaking on the collaborative to this group. We want to have a get together for all of you to meet our 4 ward candidates. That's the collaborative's 4 ward candidates, correct? Because you're speaking on behalf of the collaborative with respect to this email.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
You do agree this email's on, you already testified under oath, this email was on behalf of the collaborative, and you would agree you're referring to our 4 ward candidates in this email.
When I'm saying, I don't know when I say our, am I referring to our, there was no vote, there was no meeting, there was no organization from the collaborative that said, we are going to endorse these candidates because we said we were not going to endorse candidates.
But you're sending this out on the collaborative to this group, similar group that you sent this one the week before. And one of the candidates is Pat Getz. And if I look, Pat Getz is a recipient of this email, that being Exhibit 3. You see that?
Yes.
And I also see Madeline the Petty Carino was a recipient of this email.
Yes.
I also see that Chris Macchione was a recipient of this email on August 6th. Do you see that?
Yes.
And also Mike Bird was also a recipient of this. And Pat Getz, Madeline the Petty Carino, Chris Macchione, and Mike Bird, we've already established, were candidates for Hudson City Council that November, correct?
Yes.
And they were actually in this email, you identify them as who the candidates are. You actually have them listed. You see that in that email.
Yes.
Now, did you send this email, since collaborative is an informative and educational entity? Did you send this email to Todd Zedek, who was also a candidate for Hudson City Council?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Do you see his name anywhere?
I don't see his name. I don't know what's been blacked out.
I would represent to you what was blacked out has been the email addresses.
Okay.
Okay. Did you send this email to Chris Foster, who was also a candidate for Hudson City Council?
No.
Did you send this email to Skylar Sutton, who was also a candidate for Hudson City Council?
No.
Did you send this email to Scott Roofer, who was also a candidate for
No.
Hudson City Council? Did you send this email to any of the other candidates for school board?
No.
Okay, so I want to go back again to Exhibit 3, which is the email you sent out on behalf of the Clock Tower Collaborative with news from the collaborative. You indicate there, there's a kind of a single, well, third paragraph there. It starts, donations to the collaborative are coming in. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then you can say, then you go on and say, if you can support your ward candidate, school board candidate, and the collaborative, please do so.
Yes.
Right? So you're tying donations to the collaborative to financial support for candidates for the city council and candidates for the school board, correct?
Madam Chairwoman, I would object. That's a pretty clear mischaracterization of what that says.
It's cross-examination. She's an adverse witness.
Please.
So you are tying contributions to the collaborative to donations also to candidates, for city council, and the candidates for school board, correct?
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. The sentence that I said, if you can support your candidate, your school board candidate, and in capital, the collaborative, please do so. The intention there, if not, was if you can support all of these, please do so. Not if you support us, you're supporting your candidates.
Right. But some people wrote checks saying earmarked for Michelle the Petty Carino. Multiple people did, correct?
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the city of Hudson has contribution limits that it imposes upon its city council candidates, correct?
Yes, I don't know if they're still in effect.
You were city manager for the city of Hudson previously, correct?
Yes.
So you're familiar with the city of Hudson, you're familiar with the requirements of the law, correct? You're not aware of any contribution limits being repealed, are you?
During my time there, no.
Since then? During your time
I'm not aware of what the council does now.
But city council, the city of Hudson did have contribution limits imposed upon its city council candidates, correct?
At the time I was.
And it was a 100 individual contribution limit, correct?
Yes.
So as soon as somebody maxed out $100 to an individual candidate, they couldn't directly spend any more money in support of that candidate, such as Michelle the Petty Carino, correct?
According to the bylaws, yes.
Now, I want to go on there. So later on in this email, again, Exhibit 3, the news from the collaborative that you sent out, you indicate there it starts September. It says September will be a month of organizing and distributing yard signs. Do you see